Okay, so the purpose of this video is to demonstrate how I, as a pilot, communicate with air traffic control and how I, as air traffic control, communicate with pilot. I'll be doing both communications from the pilot to air traffic control and from air traffic control to the pilot. To demonstrate this, we'll be using Greater Rockford International, and I'm going to pick a small plane just so I can have time to explain everything. So this is a really bad example because it's a cargo and I don't have the ground charts available to me right now. So we're just going to go to gate 1. Pretend there's air traffic control. I'm going to fly a little loop around the airport in this plane. So here we are. We're all filled up, everything's set. We are Yeti 5249er. So, our airport name is IRFD, or Greater Rockford Airport. International Rockford is how I think of IRFD. Maybe that'll help you. First thing we need to do is we need to think about what we want overall in the airport. We want to start our engines, push back, taxi to, I don't know, maybe right there. 36 right. 36, 18. We want to taxi to 36 right, so IRFD ground. This is Yeti 5249er requesting permission to spin up and push back. Or start engines and push back. Whichever, really, it doesn't matter. IRFD ground would say something similar to Yeti 5249er. This is IRFD ground. You're cleared to start engines and begin pushback. And then they might tack on something like, since I didn't request a runway to taxi to, they might say advise preferred runway or something like that. So after that, we have to read back to them Yeti 5249er cleared to start engines, push back. Make sure that they told us the instructions properly and that we understand the instructions they gave us. Once that's done, we start engines and push back. Now, pretend that I had said the runway for a moment. We'd just push back and we'd start taxiing. But notice right there, I wasn't assigned a specific way or path, set of gates to get to the runway. I'm just going to do whatever I think is best. In this case, it'll be just straight over there. I have to stop short of this runway. Even if I'm not told to hold short, I need to stop there because it's a runway. So at this point, because of the way I said things to ATC, I'd say IRFD ground. This is Yeti 5249er requesting permission to taxi runway 36 right. And if everything goes good, they'll say one or two things. They'll say taxi. They'll say something like, sorry, I'm blanking. Yeti 5249er, this is IRFD ground. Cleared to taxi runway 36 via, and they'd give gates. Or they just say, just taxi to the runway. And they might also say, hold short of the runway, which means we're going to stop at the yellow line right before the runway. Or the other. Either way, we would then say, RFD Tower, this is Yeti 5249er. Clear to taxi runway 36 right. Then we begin taxiing. Keep in mind that we have to stop and wait to cross the runway. We weren't assigned any gates by RFD ground, so we're just going to do what we think is best. Now this can have consequences because we might start here instead of here. So that's just something that means it might not be best practice. So here we are. IRFD ground. This is Yeti 5249er. Holding short of 36 left at Charlie. No, sorry, Bravo 3. And we'd wait here. And IRFD ground might say, copy Yeti 5249er holding Bravo 3. Or they might say, Yeti 5249er continue taxiing 36 right. And they might also instruct us to hold short of that runway. So assuming that we got the instructions and we already told them exactly what we want to do, like I will now Yeti 5249 taxiing 36 right. We're cleared to continue, something like that. So we try to make this quick because we don't want to be on the runway as much as possible. In this case, we're instructed to hold short of the runway prior. So here we are, Charlie, as seen here. We can say IRFD ground. This is Yeti 5249er holding short of 36 right. Then we say copy, holding short, something like that. And then we can do whatever we want while we wait. And then, I'm not the best at this part, but generally you would be advised to switch over to IRFD Tower, which does takeoff and landings. You would say IRFD Tower, this is Yeti 5249er holding short of 36 right at Charlie. Requesting permission to take runway, or however you want to put it, whatever makes sense to you. Just don't use something that other people don't understand. They'll say negative, you know, we got a flight coming in, or they'll let you take the runway. They might say Yeti 5249er, this is IRFD Tower. Line up runway 36 right, or something like that. I'd say, in my case, lining up 36 right Yeti 5249er, something like that. Again, all this can be changed and modified as needed, but this is just to showcase how I, with one of my many different ways, do it. We complete our checklist. This also means setting flaps. Flaps are important. We have a long runway here, but if it was a 600-foot grass strip, you might need some flaps. So, the captain would say flaps 2, and the co-pilot would say flaps set 2 once they, with their limited control, set flaps to 2. There's just a little bit of internal communication there. And now that we're ready, we'll say IRFD tower, this is Yeti 5249er, we're ready for takeoff. And depending on if it's a good time to take off or not, they'll say Yeti 5249, this is IRFD tower, you're clear for takeoff, winds are whatever the winds are. In this case, we'll do that. Yeti 5249er, this is IRFD tower. Good for takeoff. Winds are 3 at 8. Ascend and maintain 3,000, heading 360 or something, 360. They might also tell you 400, which is a weird way of getting to Perth. Fun fact. They like to do that. At least Core does. Okay, now we're good for takeoff. You say RFD tower, Yeti 5249, clear for takeoff. Then maintain 2,000, heading 360. Then we do, you can do the speed checks with your co-pilot if you want to, or you can just fly because, nothing's gonna go wrong. So I'm just going to climb here. Maybe a little steeper than I should, but I'm going to climb. Gear up. My plane is fixed gear. And then 5,000 feet I like flap 0. Because usually you're going fast enough. At this point, IRP tower will say Yeti 5249 is the IRP tower, contact IRP departure at frequency. We'd switch over to that frequency and we'd say IRFD departure, this is Yeti 5249er, maintaining 2,000, heading 360. And then they basically help us navigate around and avoid other planes as we carry out this instruction. They might just happen to say, I need to find it here. They might say, might say turn right heading 50 or bearing 50, something like that, depending on the aircraft controller. And you would say, so let's actually play that out. IRFD departure to Yeti 5249er, or it'll say Yeti 5249er, this is IRFD departure, turn right, heading 50. He'd say something like IRFD tower, this is Yeti 5249, copy, turning right, heading 50. You would make that turn, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 45, 50. And I accidentally gained some altitude there, so I'm going to shed that before somebody gets a complaint about it. Now realistically that wouldn't be an issue because they would have the altitude how it is. And here we are. I don't want to bore you and go all the way to Perth, so what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to go all the way to Perth. I'm going to pause this video since we're all good. Actually no, we're not. Okay, anyway, I'm going to actually need to do something, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Alright, so yeah, that was just a quick second for you. That was quite a few minutes for me. We're going to do something interesting because we're flying over St. Bartholomew on our way to IPPH. or Perth International. So what do? We're in their airspace, so we're on their radar. Their departure and arrival flights will be kind of... Sorry, is it arrival? What's the proper term? Hold on, let me use the proper term. Oh, approach. The approach and departure flights will kind of be in our way, right? So, I don't know, you could say St. Bartholomew's Center as an example. And that'll let everyone in the area know that you're not there to approach or depart, but you're there to fly through. You contact center will pretty much be the same as departure, except during this sort of cruising part of the flight, I guess. So I'm going to stop cruising here. I'm going to hit R again, so we're holding our altitude. After I figure out how this works. Awesome. Is it foggy, or can I just not see? Oh, I'm high up. We're not quite there yet, so we're going to give it a minute, get there, we'll do our call. St. Bartholomew's Center, this is Yeti 5249er, maintaining 2000 heading 50 at 160 knots from IRFD to IPPH. And that tells them that you're coming from Greater Rockford International going to Perth International. You're at 2,000 feet, not climbing, not descending, and your speed is 160 knots. And you're also traveling from Greater Rockford in the direction of 50 degrees. Pretty nice. And then additionally, you can request VFR traffic advisories. No one else is on the server, so I'm not going to do that, but you could just tack on request VFR traffic advisories. They're not obligated to fulfill that request, but that's workload permitting. If they're not busy, they will give you advisories. They have a radar, you know. And honestly, this center will be the same air traffic controller that is at the airport. Just like approach and departure, as well as ground. It's all the same tower. So after all that, they'll read back to us something like St. Bartholomew's Center. Sorry, Yeti 5249er, this is St. Bartholomew's Center. Copy, I don't know, just something like copy, you're at 2000, bearing 50 at 160 knots. Something like that, just to make sure that they got your information and that you gave your information properly and that they understood it, you know? And as you can see, we're just flying in a straight line over. Last thing you want to do is be on these people's tower, like in their radar, and not have spoken to them yet. By the time you're on their radar, you should be speaking with them. They may in a roleplay situation ask you to identify, and that just means you push your little ident button on your transceiver, transponder, something like that. You just have to say push this button, you know. Anyway. So about from me center, this is Yeti 5249er. Continuing to Perth. Then it's a Yeti 5249er. Have a safe flight or something. Just we're leaving the stuff that they control, and we're out in this case international waters. Now usually there would be something more to it, but this is just that. And I know it's a little early, but it's never too early to start talking to an international airport, especially one like this that could be busy. IPPH IPPH approach, this is Yeti 5249er. Maintaining 2,000 at 160 knots. Heading 50, requesting approach to, in this case, 33. And of course, this can be a lot more complicated. I'm just trying to give a few simple steps for people, because I don't want this to be hyper-realistic, but it also can't be... It has to have a standard of communication, and I don't feel like whatever happened in my stream today was anything near standard communication. I mean, maybe it was standard, but I couldn't understand it. And then the next air traffic controller used a completely different set of stuff, and then I used yet a different set of stuff. So I'm just trying to make it all like the same, and that's why I'm making this video. They would say we don't want an ILS approach. We want a VFR approach. They would say IPPH approach, right? Yeah, so Yeti 5249er, this is IPPH approach. We cleared for a VFR approach to runway 33. We would say clear for VFR approach, Yeti 5249er. Say that, yes, this is who we are, and this is the instructions we've been given. And then we can begin our VFR approach. You have to remember our minimums of 1,000 if it's foggy. I just go with 1,000, but depending on the plane, you might have a higher minimum. I don't know. I'm not that technical. We'll reduce speed to 100 knots. And we'll descend to 1,000. I think we're on a acceptable descent right now. At this point, approach would see that we're lined up and ready. And they'd say, Yeti 5249 is IPPH approach, clear for final, runway 33. We'd say, clear for final, runway 33, Yeti 5249. Because we started our approach, and now we're on our final approach, which is usually when we're lined up on the runway, like with the runway, ready to land. And then we'd say, IPPH tower, this is Yeti 5249er, requesting landing clearance runway 33, something like that. I need flaps down. Let's say Yeti 5249er, clear for landing runway 33. Alright. Clear for landing runway 33, Yeti 5249er. We'd make our landing. Climb down. IPPH ground, this is Yeti 5249er requesting gate assignment, holding C33, I think. Let's see what this is. Holding C. Alright. So that tells them where we are. We're holding C. I might have done something wrong, but you know what? They can see us. The tower's right there. There it is. So they'll say 8524-9er. This is IPPH ground. Clear to taxi gate 3 via, and give us gates, or just say gate 3. In this case, I don't have the charts available, so it'll just be no gates and right to gate 3. By the way, the numbers on the building are different from what's on the chart, so don't... That could be a mistake right there. Stupid clicker. Alright. That's, Captain Assassin in here. Yeti 5249er taxiing gate 3. I leave my flaps down just because it increases the control surface, which is good for making these turns. I don't think it actually adds a performance like handling modification in the game, but realistically it can. Now it also makes you burn more fuel, so also keep that in mind in a realistic simulator. Okay, here's another runway we gotta cross. IBPH ground, this is Yeti 5249er, holding Charlie 1. Request permission to cross runway 2911. Yeti 5249er, this is IPPH ground. You're clear to continue taxiing gate 3. Or just clear to cross 2911. That'll work too. I'm gonna try to make this fast because Assassin's waiting for me. Then before we would cross the runway, we'd say IPPH ground, this is Yeti 5249er, crossing 2911. Or crossing runway 2911, that'll work. I tend to simplify things more than I probably should, but like if there was a gate 11, then it could just, there's best practices. So according to the ground charts, gate 3 here should be gate 4. Otherwise, I'll do what everyone else is going to use. They're going to look at the gate and be like, oh, that's gate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, we're going to go over here to gate 3. Yeti 5249er to IPPH ground. Or IPPH ground, this is Yeti 5249er. We're parked at gate 3, something like that. Just so that they know that you're taken care of and you're good to go. They can stop worrying about you. They know you're at your destination and not somewhere out there still. There we go. We make some other stuff with ground crew and whatever, but generally, that's it. Stop the engines, correct the flaps, lock the plane. And overall, that's how you're supposed to do it. That's how I see it done. That's how I see it done for quite a while. It's been done that way in my eyes. So, yeah, good place to start. Hope you learned something. Let me know if you have questions, though.